This is breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa.
An officer was shot on Sunday, July 4th, 2021. The date and time of the call, the initial disturbance occurred and was reported on July 4th, 2021 at 01:33 hours, 01:33 a.m. The suspect involved in this event is Lyndon Truong. He's a 28-year-old Asian male, 5'6", and weighs about 160 pounds. His picture is to my left. The suspect's weapon in this incident, Mr. Truong used an officer's weapon, a Glock 21 .45 caliber equipped with a tactical light, and the investigation revealed that Mr. Truong fired one round from the officer's weapon. The charges for Mr. Truong are battery with a deadly weapon with substantial bodily harm, battery with deadly weapon on a first responder, resisting a public officer with a firearm, and discharging a firearm within a structure. The details of the shooting are as follows. On Sunday, July 4th, 2021, at approximately 1:33 a.m., special events officers were working a concert when they saw an Asian male, later identified as Lyndon Truong, push a security officer. After pushing the security officer, Mr. Truong fled the area on foot. Officers gave chase and attempted to take him into custody. During the custody phase, Mr. Truong was not compliant, and the officers struggled with him in order to get handcuffs on his wrist. He was ultimately successfully handcuffed. Mr. Truong continued to resist the officers and became more aggressive towards them as he was being escorted to the security holding cell. The escorting officers were joined by other officers as they got into the elevator to assist them. Mr. Truong was then held up against one of the walls inside the elevator while an officer tried to fix the positioning of the handcuffs that were on his wrists. While this was happening, Mr. Truong reached down with his left hand and grabbed a hold of the gun that belonged to one of the officers. That was holding him up against the wall. The firearm was secured in a duty holster that was mounted on the officer's duty belt. Mr. Truong was able to insert one of his fingers into the holster and pull the trigger of the firearm. It should be noted that the firearm was never removed from the holster. This caused one round to be discharged, striking one of the officer's legs. A second officer received bullet fragments to his ankle, who was standing next to the first officer. No other officers fired their weapons nor deployed any other weapons during this incident. Several officers gained control of Mr. Truong and held him down until medical arrived. Both officers were treated for non-life-threatening injuries at UMC Trauma. They were later released from the hospital. And that's the question. I mean, if there are any questions, that's all the information that I have at this point. Yes?
So it said that he was taken to UMC for erratic behavior. Is that a mental health condition? Was he injured? Or what specifically is he being treated for at UMC, and when is he expected to be released? He's
still at UMC as far as the condition. I'm not able to go into that, but his behavior was erratic that night, and medical personnel at UMC have determined that he needs to stay at the hospital a while longer. Okay.
Was he still in the handcuffs when he reached for the holster and was able to fire the gun?
Yes, his hands were around the holster, and in fact, I'll show you some video here, and you'll all get an opportunity to review that.
This is the second time recently that an officer has been disarmed. Is there any preparations or changes that will be going in part of Metro?
We are looking at policy and we are looking at procedures, but unfortunately, no, these two events are completely different. But let me do this first. It might answer some of your questions if we play this video. Do just to my left. The first video will just be of them entering the elevator. There's no sound, and then later I'll have some more. Okay, this next video is from the body cam, and it'll have sound, and it is what happened at the elevator.
Put down, man. Stop, man. No, relax. Relax. What I tell you, dude, just relax for us, all right? Relax. We're not trying to hurt you. Relax. 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 These two. I tried getting one on him. Couldn't get the one on, so when he came back around, I grabbed my other set. Yeah, man, you're on something. Hey, that's just okay? That's my second cup. Yeah, this should be good. Yeah, I don't think we can get them double locked or anything. Hey. Stop it. Bro! Just hold it. Relax. There you go. You're okay. Relax. We're here to help you. Yeah, what the fuck was that? He's got his gun. He's got your gun. I got it. Okay. You got it? Fuck, is everybody okay? I got shot. Oh, fuck. Get him a tourniquet, guys. Do you need a tourniquet?
Okay, now here is a close-up where you can actually see Mr. Truong reaching down with his left hand and grabbing a hold of the officer's firearm that was in his holster. Okay. With that, I'll take some more questions.
Does this, Truong, does he have any prior history of any behaviors towards officers, or does he have any just misdemeanors or any felony history at all?
I have no information on that yet, no.
And were any drugs or anything else found in his system?
That we won't know until we get hospital records, so I don't know.
I know you said Chubang pushed an officer to start off this whole thing. Do you know what exactly led up to that?
What we were able to gather preliminarily is that Truong was being apprehended or being talked to by security and eventually ran from security, which is when our officers saw that, attempted to stop Mr. Truong. He continued to run and then was apprehended by the officers and then handcuffed.
Equipment-wise, how did a suspect get their fingers down into a gun holster like that? I mean, this is kind of an equipment issue, too, on top of everything, right?
It can very well be an equipment issue. I spent this morning looking at a number of different holsters, and I have the same concerns that probably everyone in this room has. And we're going to look at that and make some determinations of whether or not we need to discontinue the use of some of these holsters, and then certainly go into training.
Was Mr. Truong a concert goer or just in the area? Do you know for a fact he was a concert goer?
He was inside the stadium, so I would imagine that we didn't find any other information saying otherwise, so we'd say that he was inside for the concert.
How's the officer doing who got shot in the nose?
I saw the injury, and it looks substantial to me, but he's doing fine. He's at home. We spoke with him this afternoon.
How about the second officer who was injured to the ankle?
The other one was shrapnel to his ankle, and yes, he's also doing fine.
Just to clarify, so the officer who was trying to adjust the handcuffs, was that the one who was shot?
No, the one that was shot was the officer that was holding on to Mr. Truong, the officer to the left. The officer to the left, on the far left. Okay, if there's no other questions, then thank you very much. And if we have any more, we'll get back with everyone with an update.
You've been watching breaking news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, sponsored by Michael Gaughan's South Point